Let me tell you something that's going to shake your perspective a little. The hard times you're going through right now, they're not punishment. They're preparation. The struggle you're facing isn't meant to break you. It's meant to build you. Because God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to shape purpose. Every champion, every warrior, every person who has ever risen from the ashes of their past has walked through fire. You see, comfort never made anyone grow. Ease never made anyone strong. Strength is forged in the battle. Faith is built in the storm. Purpose is discovered in the pain. You pray for God to make you stronger, and he sends you resistance. You ask him for wisdom, and he allows confusion so you'll seek clarity. You ask for faith, and he gives you moments when you have no choice but to trust him. That's how he works. He stretches you, refines you, tests you, because he's preparing you for something greater than your current season. Stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is God building in me? Because if you're walking through fire right now, maybe that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Maybe he's burning off the fear, the doubt, the weakness that can't go with you to the next level of your life. Do the hard things. Lean into them. Don't run from the discomfort. Use it. Every single person who's ever done something extraordinary learned how to thrive under pressure. They didn't just survive pain, they transformed it. You want to be unstoppable? Learn how to smile while you sweat. Learn how to thank God while you're still in the middle of the battle. When you trust God in hard times, something powerful happens inside you. You begin to realize that the enemy can't defeat someone who refuses to give up. That every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. That every no from life is redirecting you to a better yes from God. If you think the pain is too heavy, remember this. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. And your destiny, it's being developed in the struggle. You can't be a masterpiece if you're afraid of the chiseling. You can't walk into your calling if you're not willing to climb the mountain. God's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to hone you. He's preparing you for rooms you've never entered, responsibilities you've never carried, victories you've never imagined. But to handle the glory, you've got to survive the grind. The truth is, most people quit too soon. They pray for the blessing but run from the process. They want the crown without the cross. But the cross is the path to the crown. You've got to go through something to grow into something. So if you're feeling stretched, pressured, or tested, it's a sign that you're on the right path. God's stretching your capacity because he's getting ready to fill you with more. Don't curse the season that's building your strength. Don't despise the days that are developing your character. When it's hard, that's when it matters most. When you feel like giving up, that's when you dig deeper. When it seems impossible, that's when God is closest. He's not distant in your pain. He's right there, teaching you to rise again and again until quitting isn't in your vocabulary anymore. Do the hard things, face the fear, confront the challenge, walk into the unknown with courage. Because when you do, you discover the truth. God uses hard times not to destroy us, but to define us. The pain that once scared you becomes the power that fuels you. The battles that once broke you become the blueprint for your destiny. And the faith that was once small becomes unshakable. So today, decide to rise, decide to grow, decide to trust God even when you don't understand the plan, because he's not finished with you yet. He's building something strong, something unbreakable, something unstoppable. And that something is you. God uses pain as preparation, not punishment. Too often we look at our struggles and immediately assume something is wrong, that we must have done something to deserve the difficulty. But what if the pain you're feeling isn't a sign of God's absence, but proof of his presence? What if the struggle you're in is not to destroy you, but to develop you? You see, pain is the divine classroom where the lessons of strength, endurance, and character are taught. It's the training ground of destiny. God doesn't allow pain to punish you. He allows it to prepare you for something greater than where you are now. Every tear, every disappointment, every delay, it's all part of a plan that's shaping you into who you were created to be. When you pray for growth, God doesn't hand you comfort. He hands you challenges. Because growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. Growth happens when you're stretched, when you're forced to go beyond what you thought you were capable of. That's where you discover your true strength. Think about it. Muscles don't grow without resistance, and faith doesn't deepen without testing. If God answered every prayer instantly, you'd never develop the endurance to stand firm when life gets hard. The waiting, the uncertainty, the pain, they all create the foundation of your faith. You begin to realize that God isn't just changing your circumstances. He's changing you in the process. Sometimes the pain is God's way of redirecting you. You might think something is falling apart, but in reality, it's falling into place. You lose the job, but he's moving you toward your purpose. The relationship ends, but he's protecting your heart for someone who will align with your destiny. You hit rock bottom, and that's where you finally look up and realize that the only direction left is forward. Pain shifts your focus from what's temporary to what's eternal. It strips away the illusion of control and reminds you that God is still in charge. He's not punishing you. He's positioning you. When you're walking through hard seasons, it's easy to say, why is this happening to me? But the better question is, what is this preparing me for? Every battle, every heartbreak, every challenge is a seed of preparation for a future victory. You might not see it now, but the pain you're enduring today is building the resilience you'll need tomorrow. God doesn't prepare the path for the person. He prepares the person for the path. That means he's equipping you in ways you can't even see yet. He's teaching you to trust when you can't trace his hand, to move forward when the road isn't clear, to stand strong when everything around you feels unstable. Pain reveals what comfort conceals. When everything is easy, we get complacent. We settle. But when pain hits, it wakes something up inside us. It forces us to dig deep, to find strength we didn't know we had. Pain has a way of sharpening your vision, clarifying your priorities, and igniting your faith. It pushes you to depend on God, not just when it's convenient, but when it's critical. You learn that peace isn't found in the absence of pain, but in the presence of purpose. You begin to understand that faith isn't about everything going right. It's about trusting God even when it all seems wrong. There's something sacred about the breaking process. When God breaks something in your life, he's not trying to leave you shattered. He's breaking you open to pour something new inside. The seed has to break before it grows. The clay has to be pressed before it's shaped. The metal has to be refined by fire before it shines. The same is true for you. You're being refined, not rejected. Every test is training. Every wound is wisdom in disguise. Every loss is a lesson wrapped in divine purpose. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the very thing that hurt you the most was the thing that helped you the most. Pain also teaches empathy. When you've been through something, you understand others differently. You become more compassionate, more patient, more grounded. You realize that people's smiles often hide silent struggles, and you begin to lead with kindness instead of judgment. God uses your pain to make you a vessel for healing others. What once felt like your greatest weakness becomes the story that gives someone else strength. You become living proof that God can turn pain into purpose, ashes into beauty, and brokenness into blessing. Sometimes the hardest part is trusting God's timing. You want the pain to end now. You want the lesson to be clear right away. But growth takes time. You can't rush the process. God isn't in a hurry. He's intentional. When he delays something, it's not denial, it's development. He's not preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. And the longer the preparation, the greater the purpose that's coming. Just like a diamond takes years of pressure to form, your destiny is being shaped in the unseen, in the quiet moments when it feels like nothing's happening. But God is working behind the scenes, weaving together every detail for your good. There will be moments when you feel forgotten, when the pain feels too heavy to bear. But even in those moments, God is closer than ever. He's not watching from a distance. He's walking with you through it. He's molding you into a person who can handle the weight of what's coming next. Because if he gave you everything you asked for before you were ready, it would crush you. Preparation requires pruning. And pruning hurts, but it's necessary. The branches that are cut back grow stronger. The parts of your life that are being stripped away are making room for something greater to bloom. When you start to see pain through this lens, everything changes. You stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. You stop questioning God's goodness and start trusting his wisdom. You realize that pain is not the enemy. It's the evidence that God is still working in your story. You begin to embrace the idea that the things that once made you cry can one day make you confident. The very moments that made you doubt can later become the moments that define your destiny, because the pain you endure today becomes the platform you stand on tomorrow. And through it all, God isn't punishing you. He's preparing you for the promise ahead. Strength is forged in struggle, not comfort. Every person wants to be strong, but few want to face what strength actually requires. Strength doesn't come from wishing life was easier. It comes from deciding to get stronger. It's built in the moments when you want to quit but choose to keep moving. It's developed in the times when you have nothing left but still find a way to push forward. Struggle is not the enemy. It's the process that builds you into who you're meant to be. Without pressure, there's no power. Without resistance, there's no growth. Without struggle, there's no strength. Life is a refining fire, and every challenge you face is shaping your character. You can't grow in comfort zones because comfort breeds complacency. When everything is easy, you stay the same. When life gets hard, you're forced to evolve. It's the struggle that stretches you, that breaks your limits, that teaches you what you're truly capable of. You never know how strong your faith is until it's tested. You never know how much endurance you have until you've been pushed to the edge. Struggle exposes the weaknesses you need to confront and develops the strength you didn't know you had. It becomes the gym of the soul, and every challenge is a weight that builds your spiritual and emotional muscles. Think about it. Every hero you've ever admired was forged in adversity. The strongest people you know have scars. They've faced heartbreak, betrayal, loss, rejection, and failure, yet they kept rising. That's what strength looks like. It's not the absence of pain. It's the ability to move forward despite it. Struggle creates resilience. It teaches you to bend but not break. It develops grit, the ability to keep showing up no matter how many times life knocks you down. Strength isn't built in comfort. It's built in chaos. It's built when you're forced to fight for your peace, your purpose, your future. When God allows you to walk through a struggle, it's not to destroy you, but to equip you. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to develop something within you that comfort never could. You pray for patience, and he gives you waiting seasons. You pray for courage, and he allows fear to stand in your way so you can confront it. You pray for strength, and he puts you in situations where you have to rely on him completely. That's how you grow. You don't become strong by running away from hard things. You become strong by enduring them with faith and determination. Every struggle is training for something greater. The struggle reveals your foundation. When the storm comes, what's inside you is exposed. If your strength is built on temporary things, you'll crumble. But if it's built on faith, perseverance, and purpose, you'll stand firm no matter what comes. God allows certain struggles to test your roots, to make sure that when the blessings arrive, you can handle them. Because what good is success if your spirit collapses under pressure? What good is talent without endurance? Strength ensures that you can carry what you've been called to carry without being crushed by it. The process hurts, but it's producing endurance, humility, and wisdom that will serve you for a lifetime. Struggle also gives you perspective. It changes the way you see yourself and others. When you've walked through hard times, you stop taking blessings for granted. You appreciate peace more deeply because you've known chaos. You become more grateful for small victories because you've fought hard for them. Struggle humbles you. It reminds you that strength isn't arrogance, it's resilience. It's not about proving something to others. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. The struggle strips away the superficial and reveals your true identity. You stop pretending, stop performing, and start living with authenticity and conviction. There's something powerful that happens when you realize struggle is sacred. It's the place where you meet God in the most real way. When you're at your lowest, that's when his strength becomes most visible. When you have nothing left to rely on, that's when you find that he was carrying you the whole time. Struggle teaches surrender. It forces you to let go of control, to trust that even when you can't see the way forward, there's a purpose behind every hardship. You start to see that the moments that broke you were the same moments that rebuilt you stronger than before. The struggle becomes holy ground because that's where transformation happens. We live in a world that runs from struggle. We want instant results, instant success, instant peace. But strength isn't microwaved. It's forged in the fire. The greatest victories are born from the greatest battles. You can't have a testimony without a test. Every time you face something difficult and come out on the other side, your confidence grows. You begin to believe in your ability to overcome, and that belief changes everything. You walk differently. You think differently. You live with conviction instead of fear. That's what struggle does. It teaches you that you're stronger than you thought and that God is more faithful than you imagined. Struggle creates appreciation for the process. When you've had to fight for something, you value it more. You take care of it, nurture it, protect it. People who have been through nothing often don't understand the worth of what they have. But those who've been through struggle know that every blessing has a cost. Every victory has a battle behind it. And that awareness gives you a deep sense of gratitude. You stop looking for shortcuts because you realize that shortcuts rob you of strength. The process, no matter how painful, is what makes you unshakable. There's also a strange kind of beauty in the struggle. It teaches you to find joy in the journey, not just the destination. You learn to celebrate progress, not perfection. You start to see that even in the hard moments, there's something good happening inside you. Struggle teaches patience. It teaches compassion. It teaches endurance. It refines your faith, sharpens your focus, and purifies your purpose. You stop seeing struggle as something to escape from and start seeing it as something to embrace. Because the truth is, if you avoid struggle, you avoid strength. The greatest transformation happens when you decide to stop running from what's hard and start facing it head on. That's where you grow. That's where you find your power. The struggle doesn't weaken you. It awakens you. It pushes you to new levels of discipline, courage, and trust. You learn that strength isn't the absence of struggle, it's the mastery of it. You start to see pain as a signal, not a sentence. A signal that something new is being built within you. And the more you go through, the more unshakable you become. So when life gets heavy, when the pressure feels unbearable, remember that this is where strength is forged. Every hardship is shaping your destiny. Every trial is adding weight to your character. Every setback is building endurance for the future. Struggle is not a curse, it's the construction site of your greatness. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that every fight, every fall, every sleepless night was preparing you for the strength you carry today. Because strength is not born in comfort, it's born in the fire of struggle, and it's that fire that makes you unstoppable. Do the hard things, growth, lives, and discomfort. The truth that many people never want to face is that everything you want in life sits on the other side of hard work, sacrifice, and discomfort. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in challenge, uncertainty, and pain. The people who rise, the ones who achieve, the ones who transform their lives are those who choose to do what others avoid. They lean into the hard things. They make the uncomfortable decisions. They step into the fire because they understand that the heat is what forges greatness. You can't live an extraordinary life if you're addicted to ease. You can't grow if you always choose what feels safe. Growth demands discomfort because discomfort is the evidence of expansion. When you stretch beyond what's familiar, that's where transformation begins. Discomfort is the birthplace of change. Every time you choose to do something difficult, whether it's waking up earlier, saying no to distractions, pushing through fear, or having that uncomfortable conversation, you're building the muscle of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. It's the secret ingredient behind every success story. The people you admire didn't get there by doing what was easy. They got there by doing what was necessary. They embraced the grind. They did the hard things when no one was watching. They showed up even when they didn't feel like it. That's what separates growth from stagnation. Comfort keeps you stuck. Discomfort sets you free. We live in a world that worships convenience. Everything is designed to be faster, easier, more instant. But the danger of convenience is that it kills growth. You can't develop strength without resistance. You can't build endurance without effort. The more comfortable you make your life, the smaller your capacity becomes. Comfort zones are prisons disguised as peace. They trick you into thinking you're safe, but in reality, they're keeping you from your potential. You were not created for a life of ease. You were created for expansion, impact, and influence. And that requires stepping into the unknown, facing the hard things, and embracing the discomfort that comes with progress. Doing the hard things is where your faith comes alive. It's easy to trust God when everything is going your way, but real faith is forged in the fire of difficulty. When you do what's hard, you learn to rely on something greater than yourself. You learn that you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take the next step. The discomfort becomes a signal that you're in alignment with your calling because purpose always stretches you. God will often call you to things that are beyond your ability so that you'll depend on His strength, not your own. That's why the hard things matter. They humble you. They strengthen you. They teach you endurance, patience, and persistence. When you do hard things consistently, you build momentum. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity. You realize that the resistance isn't there to block you. It's there to bless you. The weight that you carry is what makes you stronger. Every time you face discomfort and push through it, you expand your capacity for what's next. You train your mind to keep going when others stop. You develop grit, the ability to persevere through pain without losing focus. Grit is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Anyone can want success, but only those willing to endure the hard work will experience it. There's something empowering about facing what's hard and realizing you survived it. That job you thought you couldn't do, the challenge you thought would break you, the season you thought would destroy you. Once you've gone through it, you come out stronger, wiser, and more confident. The discomfort that once scared you now becomes your foundation. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe that you can handle whatever comes next. That confidence doesn't come from comfort, it comes from challenge. Every time you do something hard, you rewrite the story of what's possible for you. You raise your standards. You increase your faith. You grow. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. It happens when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, faith over fear. It's not supposed to feel easy. Growth is painful because it requires shedding old versions of yourself. You have to let go of old habits, limiting beliefs, and comfortable routines that no longer serve you. That's why it's hard. But in that discomfort lies the seed of transformation. The pain you feel in growth isn't punishment. It's progress. It's your soul expanding to handle more, to become more, to give more. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly without the struggle of the cocoon. The struggle is what strengthens the wings. Without it, flight would never be possible. When you avoid hard things, you trade your potential for temporary comfort. You settle for mediocrity when greatness is waiting on the other side of fear. You talk about what you want, but never take the steps to get there because those steps are uncomfortable. But every time you run from discomfort, you rob yourself of growth. You can't pray for elevation and still cling to ease. You can't ask for greatness and refuse the grind. The journey to success, to transformation, to spiritual maturity is paved with hard choices and difficult decisions. The hard things are not barriers. They are invitations. Invitations to rise higher, to trust deeper, to become stronger. Discomfort is also the great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. When life gets hard, everyone feels it. The difference is in how you respond. Some people see hard times as a reason to give up. Others see them as a reason to grow up. The discomfort either breaks you or builds you depending on your perspective. When you choose to face it head on, you turn pain into power. You realize that growth isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about mastering it. You learn to find peace in progress, even when progress is painful. You start to welcome challenges because you know they're the catalysts for your next level. Doing the hard things also strengthens your integrity. When you commit to something difficult and follow through, even when no one is watching, you build self-trust. You prove to yourself that you are capable of following through on your word. That integrity creates inner strength, and that strength becomes your foundation. You no longer need external validation because you've earned internal confidence. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of, and that unshakable self-belief is born in the moments when you choose to do what's hard instead of what's easy. The hard things refine your purpose. They clarify what truly matters. They strip away distractions and force you to focus on what's meaningful. Growth through discomfort teaches you to value the process as much as the outcome. It shows you that success isn't about avoiding pain. It's about learning to thrive through it. Every challenge, every sacrifice, every hard decision becomes a stepping stone to a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of yourself. You stop looking for shortcuts because you understand that the long road, the difficult road, is the one that builds endurance and character. So do the hard things. Make the call. Take the risk. Step into the unknown. Wake up when you don't want to. Keep pushing when your mind tells you to stop. Because every time you choose discomfort over ease, you grow. Every time you do what's hard, you move closer to your potential. Growth doesn't live in comfort. It lives in the challenge, in the pressure, in the moments that test you and transform you from the inside out. The hard things are the holy ground of growth, and those who are willing to face them are the ones who rise. Every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. Life has a way of knocking us down when we least expect it. The job you thought you'd always have disappears overnight. The relationship you poured your heart into ends without warning. The dream you've worked for suddenly crumbles, leaving you questioning everything. In those moments, it's easy to feel like you've failed, like the story is over. But what if the setback isn't the end? What if it's actually the beginning of something greater? Every time life pulls you back, it's positioning you for something more powerful. Just like a slingshot, you can't be launched forward until you've first been pulled back. The tension, the delay, the disappointment, it's not working against you. It's working for you. It's part of the setup for your comeback. Setbacks aren't meant to destroy you. They're meant to develop you. Every challenge carries within it the seed of opportunity, but only those who keep their eyes open in the storm can see it. When things fall apart, it's natural to ask why, but the better question is what now? Because the setback is not the full story. It's a single chapter in a much bigger narrative. Sometimes God allows things to fall apart because what you were building wasn't strong enough to hold what's coming next. Sometimes he lets doors close because the room behind them would have limited your growth. The very thing that looks like rejection can actually be redirection. You're being guided, stretched, and prepared for something that's beyond your current understanding. When you've been through a setback, you discover what you're truly made of. It strips away the superficial and reveals your resilience. You start to learn that success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about how you respond to it. Most people get knocked down and stay there, But those who rise, those who make comebacks, are the ones who see every fall as fuel. They understand that the same fire that burns can also refine. You can let your setback define you, or you can let it design you. The difference lies in your perspective. The fall is inevitable. The rise is a choice. The comeback always begins in the quiet. It starts when you're alone, when no one's watching, when you decide that this is not where your story ends. The comeback is born the moment you refuse to let the past dictate your future. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about deciding the pain won't have the final word. That's where power is found, in the decision to rise again. When life knocks you down, you can stay on the ground and complain about the fall, or you can plant your feet, take a deep breath, and say, this is where I start again. Because the truth is, sometimes God lets you lose what you thought you needed to show you who you really are. Every great comeback story has one thing in common, a breaking point. That moment when it would have been easier to quit, but something deep inside refused to give up. You see, when you've lost everything, you have nothing left to fear. That's when you become unstoppable. Setbacks teach you that you don't need everything to keep moving forward. You just need faith. You just need the courage to take one more step. Every time you move forward after a fall, you build momentum, and that momentum becomes your comeback. The greatest victories often rise from the ashes of the greatest losses, because what was meant to destroy you becomes the very thing that develops your strength. Setbacks are also mirrors. They reflect what needs to change, what needs to grow, what needs to be let go of. Sometimes the failure wasn't about what you did wrong, it was about what needed to be removed. Setbacks refine your focus. They force you to look at what really matters. They strip away the unnecessary so you can rebuild on a stronger foundation. You learn that every no you faced wasn't rejection. It was redirection. Every delay wasn't denial. It was divine timing. The pieces of your life that seemed scattered were actually being rearranged for something greater. When you shift your mindset about setbacks, they stop feeling like losses and start feeling like lessons. You begin to see patterns instead of problems. You start to realize that every experience, good or bad, is a teacher. You stop running from pain and start listening to it, because pain always has a purpose. It's the language God uses to redirect, reshape, and refocus your life. The sooner you embrace the truth, the sooner you'll rise again. The comeback doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. It begins the moment you decide that the fall will not define you. There's power in perspective. You can choose to see a setback as the end or as an opportunity for rebirth. The setback might slow you down, but it doesn't have to stop you. Sometimes what looks like a dead end is really just a detour. Sometimes the door that's slammed shut is saving you from something you can't see yet. You might not understand it now, but later you'll look back and realize that what felt like a breakdown was actually a breakthrough. The setback is often the soil where the seeds of your greatest blessings are planted. It's the tension before the release, the preparation before the promise. Every comeback requires patience. You can't rush the process. You can't rebuild overnight. The comeback is crafted in the small daily decisions, the consistency, the discipline, the faith to keep showing up when there's no evidence of progress. It's built when you keep moving even though it hurts, when you keep believing even when nothing seems to change. God does some of his greatest work in the waiting. He uses the setback season to shape your spirit, strengthen your endurance, and prepare you for what's next. If he gave you everything you wanted when you wanted it, you wouldn't be ready to carry it. The setback ensures that when the blessing comes, you have the character to sustain it. When you start to rebuild, you realize that the version of you that's rising is not the same one that fell. You've gained wisdom. You've gained clarity. You've learned how to fight, how to pray, how to persevere. The comeback version of you is stronger, wiser, more grounded. The pain didn't destroy you, it developed you. The fall didn't weaken you, it woke you up. You're no longer motivated by fear, but by faith. You're no longer limited by what went wrong because you've learned how to find purpose in it. The truth is, life's greatest comebacks are never about getting back what you lost. They're about becoming who you were meant to be all along. The setback was just the preparation for that transformation. The doors that closed pushed you toward better ones. The people who left made room for the right ones. The failures that embarrassed you built the humility that success would require later. Nothing was wasted. Everything was necessary. Because the greater the setback, the greater the setup, and the greater the setup, the greater the comeback that's coming next. So when life pulls you back, don't panic. Don't lose heart. The pullback is necessary for the launch. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is a part of the setup. What feels like a step back is actually God positioning you for a leap forward. The fall was not the finish line, it was the foundation for your rise. The setback was never a sign of defeat. It was the stage being set for your comeback that's already on its way. God refines you through pressure to reveal your purpose. Pressure is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Most people see it as something to escape, something to avoid, but the truth is, pressure is the very environment where purpose is revealed. You can't find out what's inside of you until life presses it out of you. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Gold isn't purified without fire. Strength isn't built without resistance. The same is true for your soul. God uses pressure not to punish you, but to purify you, to strip away what doesn't belong, to expose the greatness that has been buried under fear, doubt, and comfort. Pressure doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to define you. It exposes what's weak so that what's strong can emerge. It forces you to face what you've been avoiding and rise to levels you didn't know you could reach. When God applies pressure, it's never random. There's always intention behind it. You may feel like everything is closing in, like you can't breathe, like life is too much to handle. But that's exactly where transformation begins. The moments that feel the most overwhelming are often the moments when something inside you is shifting, growing, awakening. Pressure is a divine signal that you're being prepared for more. It means God is positioning you for promotion, but he's also making sure you're ready for it. Because purpose always comes with weight. And if you can't handle the pressure now, you won't be able to carry the blessing later. The process of refinement is necessary so that when the time comes, you'll be strong enough to stand under the load of what you've prayed for. There's something sacred about the seasons of pressure. They teach you what faith really means. It's one thing to trust God when everything is comfortable and predictable. It's another thing entirely to trust him when nothing makes sense, when the weight feels unbearable, and you're tempted to give up. That's where real faith grows, in the unseen, in the uncomfortable, in the press. God doesn't allow pressure to break you. He allows it to build endurance. Every time you choose to keep believing under stress, you're developing spiritual muscle. You're learning how to hold on when life tries to push you down. You're learning how to depend on strength that isn't your own. Pressure has a way of revealing what's real. It strips away the layers of pretense and pride. When you're under pressure, you don't have time to pretend or perform. You find out who you are and what you truly believe. The things that used to distract you lose their power because all you can focus on is surviving the moment. And in that survival, you begin to find clarity. You start to see what really matters. You start to hear God's voice more clearly because the noise of the world fades in the presence of the pressing. The pressure drives you deeper into your purpose because it removes everything that's superficial. What remains after the pressing is pure, authentic, unshakable faith. Think about how olives are turned into oil. They have to be crushed. Grapes have to be pressed to produce wine. The value of both is only revealed after pressure has been applied. You are no different. The anointing, the wisdom, the maturity you're praying for won't come from easy seasons. They'll come from the crushing ones. The very things that feel like they're breaking you are actually the things that are blessing you. You can't become who you're meant to be without walking through some kind of pressure. It's not there to harm you. It's there to release what's hidden inside you. The crushing brings forth the oil, and the oil represents purpose, power, and clarity. When you feel like the world is pressing down on you, remember that pressure is proof of potential. God doesn't refine what's useless. He refines what's valuable. The fact that you're under pressure means there's something precious inside you that God is protecting and preparing. The pressure is his way of molding you, shaping you, and equipping you for the next stage of your calling. It's through the resistance that your potential becomes power. You can't grow stronger without something to push against. The opposition you're facing is actually an opportunity in disguise. It's revealing what's inside you, what you're capable of, and what you're called to do. Pressure also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're not in control, and that's okay. It forces you to lean on God rather than your own strength. You stop relying on your own understanding and start trusting his timing. You realize that pressure is not punishment, it's partnership. God is working with you, through you, and in you. He's using every moment of strain to shape your heart, sharpen your mind, and prepare your spirit. The parts of you that resist the pressure are the same parts that need to be refined. And once you surrender, once you stop fighting the process, you begin to flow with it. You learn to see the pressure not as an obstacle, but as an invitation to grow deeper in trust and dependence. One of the greatest lies people believe is that when pressure shows up, God has abandoned them. But in truth, pressure is evidence of his hand on your life. He applies it like a master craftsman, knowing exactly how much you can bear and for how long. He knows when to increase the heat and when to pull you out of the fire. The goldsmith never leaves the gold unattended while it's in the furnace. He watches closely, waiting for the moment when he can see his reflection in it. That's when he knows the gold is ready. The same is true for you. God allows you to go through fire until he can see his reflection in your character, your faith, your response. The moment he can see himself in you, the refinement is complete and the purpose begins to shine. Pressure has a purpose far, far greater than pain. It's in those moments when you're tested that you build resilience. You learn that you're stronger than you thought. You find out that giving up isn't an option because there's something in you that refuses to be defeated. That's what pressure does. It awakens the warrior within. It activates your courage. It teaches you to stand tall even when everything around you is collapsing. It trains your spirit to endure, to push through, to believe even when you can't see the outcome. Every trial, every setback, every moment of strain is strengthening you for what's coming next. When you start to see pressure as preparation, everything changes. You stop running from it and start growing through it. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? You begin to see that pressure is not meant to crush you. It's meant to call you higher. It's God's way of saying you're ready for more. The higher the calling, the greater the pressure. The greater the pressure, the deeper the refinement. Every new level of purpose demands a new level of strength, and pressure is how that strength is developed. In time, you'll begin to see how the seasons of pressure were never wasted. Every moment you thought would break you actually built you. Every tear, every sleepless night, every test carved depth into your soul. The weight you felt was not meant to bury you. It was meant to build your capacity. God was enlarging your heart, stretching your faith, and aligning your life with your purpose. You were being refined, not rejected. You were being prepared, not punished. Pressure was the proof that you were being molded into something extraordinary. The more you embrace it, the more you'll realize that purpose doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance, and that endurance is born in the pressure that God uses to reveal the masterpiece he's been forming inside you all along.